Philadelphia. I'm Bruce Buffer. It's time for the Anthony Gorgano Show.
Good morning. Good morning, everybody. Well, a happy Fat Tuesday to all across the Delaware Valley. This is the Anthony Gargano Show, and we're presented by TrueMark Financial Credit Union, TrueMark.com/PHLY for the credit union difference. It's a Fat Tuesday, and it's a day of excess right before the Lenten period. So, as always, when I was a kid, it was, hey, what are you going to give up for Lent? Like, that was always a big thing. Like, my mother would ask me all the time, what are you going to give up? You know, you're going to give up ice cream, pizza, right? Anything good. Like, you have to give it up for the 40 days of Lent until Easter Sunday. That was always the big deal. And then we did the no meat on Fridays. So I a while back, I started, hey, what are you going to give up for sports Lent? And for me, it's easy. The Sixers. We'll give up the Sixers for sports Lent. No, I will say this. It was actually fun last night. So I got home. We had a basketball game. I got home and put on the Sixers. And having Tirico do the show, do the game, was fun. Like, that was a fun thing. Having Mike Tirico, it was different. You know, we love Kate and all, but it was different to have Tirico, voice Sunday Night Football and whole thing. Obviously, the NBC is doing basketball. So beginning next season, NBC, the NBA on NBC is back, and Tirico will be the man when it comes to it. So it was fun. Got a couple reps. Saw a bad one last night. Shame. Now Maxey goes out the finger. You could see, man, that thing has been bothering him for the last couple weeks. Shut him down, right? Shut him down. Shut them all down. Let's go Andre Drummond. All right, let's just do that. Shut them all down. Protect the pick. Lose. I think your direction is there. It was we all had our Blazers hat on last night because, look, when we're talking about the future of all of our 4-for-4 land, the future of the Sixers, you got to have something out of this season. One of the things that you look at each season, if it doesn't end in a championship like the Eagles, isn't that fun to say? The Eagles won the Super Bowl. I like to say it every once in a while because it just kind of sinks in. If your team doesn't win a title, you got to get something out of it. Like, what do you get out of it? Like, where are you in the state of things? The Phils are just a good team. They're a contender. They're going to be very good. In fact, last night, it was right around. I was on my driving home from our basketball game, and the phone rings, and I look up, and there's pictures on the phone, so it comes up on the dash, and I see my man, the Skip, because he's got his memoji. The Charlie does. And it's in fact, I should send it to you, Andrew, so you can put it up there. And I was like, oh, there he is. It's baseball. He goes, yeah. He goes, Anthony, I'm going to go down to Clearwater because he's in what part of it? He's probably about an hour and a half away. He said, I'm going to go down to Clearwater, and then I'll be up for opening day, and first I'm going to go to Washington, and I'll be at Citizens Bank Park. And it was like, wow, man, listening to him talk, it was like baseball is back, and I got the itch. So, like, the Phillies are there, right? The Phillies have a purpose. The Flyers have a purpose. They're in fact, a lot of fun, right? But they have a purpose. This season is a purposeful season. Like, you just don't get anything out of it. The Sixers have to protect the pick. If you're not a contender, you can't not, sorry for the double negative, you can't not have the pick. You have to get something out of it. If you're able to keep the pick, then you have achieved something. right? You have accrued an asset, and it should be a decent asset. So I don't even understand any kind of pushback. I know yesterday, and we talked to Derek Bodner from our All PHLY Sixers show, and it was, well, guys need to win, right? Nick Nurse needs to win. Daryl Moore needs to win. I don't care. Like, you got to somehow figure out a way to let them know that, shut these guys down and protect the freaking pick. You can't have a wasted season. You can't have it. Speaking of Flyers, Charlie O'Connor from our All PHLY Flyer show will join us coming up in about 15 minutes. We get to see Frost and Farabee tonight as Calgary's in town. Flyers begin, this is fun. Flyers begin a 7-game homestand. So they got Calgary tonight, Winnipeg, who they won in the shootout, right, with Michkov on Saturday. They got the Kraken on ABC Saturday afternoon, the Devils on TNT Sunday afternoon, Ottawa, Tampa, and Carolina. So that's their 7, all like pretty good teams, fun stuff. I'm curious to see if the town starts to come alive and support them. I'd love to see that building start to rock a little bit, get some life back into it. It really deserves it. This team's fun. I'm looking for. I look around and I go, especially this time of the year where you're kind of waiting for the Phillies to start. You're still looking for March Madness, and having the Flyers just be fun it's pleasant. Like, I look at their schedule, going, all right, this is great. It's going to be a busy week. We got 4 games: Tuesday, Thursday, Saturday, Sunday. It'll be something to dive into, because as a sports fan, I need to dive into something. And the Flyers are a blast. So we'll talk to Charlie coming up. Zach Berman will join us at 10. The Eagles wave Slay. Big play Slay. Now, you kind of thought that was going to happen. And we'll see whether or not, he either gets picked back up, like you rework his deal, or he wanted to play one more year. He said he wanted to come back to the Eagles or go to Detroit. The Eagles secondary is pretty good. So it's very good. So you got some depth there. And obviously this is a whole cap thing. You know where they are. Howie told you that this season is going to be a maintenance season for the cap. And they're in a great spot because of it, right? They're in a great spot because of the young players and the depth. All right. My man over here, he's got the Philadelphia Athletics.
Yeah.
What is that?
What do you mean? It's a great hat. I'm honoring the Philadelphia team with the most championships in Philadelphia sports history.
Yeah, you're an A. There's that. It's funny, the A's group.
I'm not an Oakland A's guy. I'm a Philadelphia A's guy.
No, but it's funny, the A's group that's out there.
Well, my grandpa was a big A's guy. I got like posters of the A's squads from back in the day.
I guess the old timers were, I guess we were an American League town.
Yeah, I think so.
Right?
Yep.
The Phillies were like the stepchild.
Yeah, but they won. Well, yeah,
What,
the Phillies. The A's won. You got to respect the history. And I wanted to wear blue today. Got the blue flannel on, the hat matches. Good, man. I know fashion bugs you, but you look great today. You look like you're right off the Milan Fashion Week with the leather jacket on. I like it.
Everybody in the chat is loving the jacket.
Yeah, what's not to
Don
love,
Gargano, man? He's out collecting. They're giving it all today.
He's out collecting.
Rent's late. Rent's due is the 4th.
It really was. I was cold out, and I didn't want a big jacket like Johnny Marks, and I knew it was all going to be like 50 degrees, so it's like the perfect kind of 50-degree jacket.
Dude, Randy Rubart in the chat said VG's an A's guy and Cuz is an A bang the jukebox guy.
Oh my God, that's a great line. What's up, Fonzie? That's hysterical. I got to give a shout out to start the show to my kids.
To your boys.
To my kids.
Yeah. Victory!
So we had a semifinal game.
Yeah.
Really good team, Our Lady of Hope, our 6th grade squad, St. Margaret squad. And the boys were down big early. We were down like 8, 10 points early. And in the first quarter, the kids showed up.
What adjustment you make?
I mean, we really just went with we had 2 defenses, Coach Kelly and I, Coach Kevin and we went to a 1-3-1. The 1-3-1 we knew kind of worked a little bit. We wanted to see what it is. We had a man ready to go, like kind of a blitzing man, and we went to a 1-3-1. It helped, and but the kids. So there's such a thing. This is why I love sports, right? I just it's been my life, and I just love it. So last night, it's a 6th grade JV basketball tournament, right? Whatever. And the joy, and it was on both sides, right? There was joy and there was tears. And like they played the other team played their hearts. Coach Ernie, he's a good coach. They played their hearts out. And they were in tears after the game. Like we do shake hands after the game. We do our line. And the poor kids were in tears. Our kids, the smile, the joy on their faces after winning. It was like they won the NCAA tournament.
Did you actually feel empathy when the kids were crying when you were shaking their hands?
Did.
Or you're like, yeah, that's right.
No, these are children. No.
Coach with the jacket on. That'd be sweet, dude.
But the joy in their faces for our kids that played and it was a great game, right? It was just, it was one possession game for like the whole 4th quarter, basically back and forth.
Yeah.
I mean, it was a lot of fun.
Do you have a practice before the next game?
Yes.
How do you keep these kids so they don't peak and valley? How do you keep them?
Well, we were playing a mighty team.
Yeah.
We're playing Christ the King, which is a mighty
your
team.
nemesis.
Well, we're not even their nemesis. They blew us out twice. So we gotta play them the 3rd time.
Yeah.
And they had a squeaker.
Did they?
Yeah.
Was a team you respect?
They won by 1.
Whoa.
Yeah. So whatever. We have a practice Wednesday night. But it was fun. This whole little, it's a fun thing. The kids were so excited. And like when you're coaching these, and you know it because you coach kids.
I coach 12-year-olds myself.
You know it. And when they have success, you feel so good for them.
Yeah.
Like that they get to experience this.
Right.
This is why I'm such a believer in youth sports and the goodness that comes from youth sports.
How bad is it when Christ the King blows your doors off? I know, as a coach, you got parents are yelling, the kids are a mess.
We got good parents. I'm lucky.
You're not feeling the pressure on the sidelines when the blowout's happening. You're like, oh my god.
No, you
for me, it's like the worst.
Like you feel like you're letting the kids down.
Oh, you have no answer.
Yeah, like you feel like it's more like you're letting the kids down. Like you feel bad that you're letting them down.
Yeah, I coach at a rowdy gym. Everyone's screaming.
Yeah, no, this is our parents are good. They're all good people.
Yeah.
Like they're real supportive and all. So we have a good relationship with all the parents. But yeah, listen, I know it happens. I've seen it in baseball, different sports. It's a lot of fun. But yeah, no, it's just seeing their joy. I like something about youth that thing. I love it.
I mean, that's why we all fall in love with sports, playing it as kids.
Yeah, man. It's the greatest.
Dude, I was looking at the slate tonight. Nova Georgetown. Remember when that meant something? Oh man,
dude, it's March, and
I was like, Nova Georgetown should be must-see TV.
See, I do think that with all the NIL and all the money coming back into guys getting paid over the table, right, not under it. It's gotta make college basketball better because it's got to force kids to. It's going to have kids stay. Now I know there's a portal and there's going to be a lot of jumping ship and going from program to program, which is a little bit of an issue. But at least you're going to see kids stay together and stay in school.
Yeah,
they'll be more polished. It's why, like we were talking yesterday with Baldy about football, right? Jalen Milroe. To this day, I have no idea why he's going into the draft. You could go collect a $3.5 million check to play in college and continue your growth.
I mean, if you think you're locked in as a first rounder, you got to make the jump, right? That's the thing. Your guaranteed contract,
dude. I disagree. I think you. I think you gotta. I think he's not ready. I think if another year in college would do him.
I mean,
well.
you'll see.
See, here's the thing.
If he's a second round pick, he's made the wrong decision.
I know, but I like, to me, it's about you won't see until the end of your career, because I think it matters another year in college. I think if you go too quickly to the pros, it could stunt and almost kill your career.
Yeah, it happens all the time. I mean, I'm a Cuse fan. Cuse has stunk for a while. They've had guys who've come in for 1 year and been decent, and they've all jumped, and they've all stunk at the NBA level. All of them.
Yeah, and like, to me, I should talk.
You got Judah Mintz is with the Sixers G League now, or whatever.
Yeah,
he's starting.
Half-baked pies.
Yeah,
is what they are.
Mm-hmm.
And you gotta be fully developed before you're going to go play in that league, unless you're a true prodigy, right? And there's not a ton of true prodigies out there. Unless you're a true prodigy, you're way better off staying and playing college ball. But your point is right. Like, Villanova, Georgetown was something, man. It was like, remember we were kids? Dude, oh, my God.
Dude. John Thompson, they were great.
Hoya paranoia.
Dude, the Hoyas were such
with
a great,
gray,
like a heel team almost.
Yeah, they were nasty, right?
Yeah.
They had the gray T-shirts under. They were the first ones
to
wear shirts under the uni.
Yep. And they had the like the Hoya colored Air Jordans early on. They were good.
Oh, they were nasty. And they had a guy. Do you remember Michael Graham?
No.
Bald-headed guy?
No.
Right? He was a fearsome dude. Scary dude. Yeah.
How do I not remember him?
Yeah, Graham. Like, they had great players, man.
Yeah. And I'm thinking of Nova, Georgetown, when these schools with NILs and boosters. I mean, let's talk facts. The Catholic Church got a lot of money.
Oh, yeah.
They should be loading up these Catholic teams with some NIL money. Yeah, they're sitting on some coffers. Yeah. They don't need to hang out with waste management guys. Like, just open up some of those Catholic coffers.
Go into the basement of the Vatican. Get some of these treasures.
Yeah, a couple jewels. Cash in a couple jewels. Load up these teams. Like, come on. Hey, this is off my radar because I was on St. Joe's early. They came out. They were good, and then I fell off them. Steve in the chat says, Eric Reynolds of St. Joe's is 5 points from passing Jameer Nelson for all-time St. Joe's scorer.
Wow, that's a great point. Thanks, Steve, bringing that up, man.
Yeah.
Listen, it's funny because with all the teams kind of languishing a bit, Villanova has a chance. And then
Joe's got a chance.
Yeah, in the tournament.
Yeah.
I mean, they have a chance in the tournament.
Mm-hmm.
But you don't I missed it. I missed when they were. I mean, listen, when Jay had them at their height, but it's nice when you got a team to back. Yeah. Whether it was St. Joe with Jameer and Phil or LaSalle. Remember when LaSalle made that run?
Yeah.
The Southwest Philly floater.
Oh yeah, man. Who was that? That's not Garland, was it? No.
Oh my God! Now I'm gonna think about it. Anyway.
But even when my Quakers get in, I know they're gonna get blown out, but it's fun when they just get in.
Without a doubt. That's funny. You're all Sammy Browned up.
Dude, he'd be gone. The one, he's been on a tear, actually. Brett Brown's son, the last half of the season's averaging like 19 points a game, shooting 43 from three, so he'll be somewhere else next year.
I remember him when Brett first got here, and he would work with him after practice, and he was always around, man. Something about kids that grow up in it, they just become so good at it. Like, you're
mitosis. They just like absorb it or something.
Yes. All right, lots to get to today. We got Charlie coming up live from the skate around. All right, the morning skate.
I'm thinking about going tonight. I'm checking out ticket prices. They're reasonable. I might pop down.
You should. Yeah. Morning skate. We're going to go to Charlie live for the morning skate.
Someone says it was Tyreek Garland for LaSalle.
Look at that. Right. That's crazy. And then we got the brain, and then Zach to talk about Slay and some of the Eagles all season as we get ready for NFL free agency. All right, let's talk about some of our partners.
These are two of my favorite people. First off, let's talk about the people over at Glad Hair Restoration by Morgenstern Medical. Because, Glad Hair's been restoring and defending hairlines for over 30 years, and I respect that. It's no wonder they have a reputation that they do. Their proven results and experienced team are only a few reasons that Glad Hair name has stood the test of time. Glad Hair by Morgenstern Medical isn't just about restoration, it's about innovation. Their breakthrough specialized Glad Hair technique dramatically changes lives and hairlines. The Glad Hair technique consists of one-on-one care, a 100% personalized hair restoration plan of action designed just for you and your specific hair loss, follow-up care, and cutting-edge hair loss prevention treatments, medications, and more. Glad Hair can help you keep the hair that you have or help bring back what you've already lost. If you'd like more information and are ready to defend your hairline today, visit gladhairmm.com, gladhairmm.com, or you can call or text 610-980-4000. And spring is here, summer's coming, the sun's getting stronger, warmer, so protect your eyes. While it's still a little chilly out there, it's never too early. Start thinking about summer and the sun. So our friends over at Shady Rays are helping you get in the right frame of mind with their premium polarized shades that won't break their bank. Shady Rays, an independent sunglass company offering a world-class product rated 5 stars by over 300,000 satisfied people. Their glasses have durable frames, crystal clear optics, making them the perfect choice for all your outdoor activities. And if you're a skier or snowboarder, Shady Rays got a brand new collection of goggles to help you see clearly and look good on the slopes. Available in both adult and kid sizes. With so many colors available, you'll find a perfect pair that's for you. You can even get ones in your own team colors. Get one for every season. So check this out. If your shades ever go missing or take an unexpected hit, don't sweat it. They have the most insane protection in all of eyewear. Every pair is backed by their lost or broken replacement program. And if you don't love your shades, exchange them for a new pair or worry-free return within 30 days. There's no risk when you shop at Shady Rays. Their team's always got your back with fast and personal support. So PHLY viewers and listeners, go to shadyrays.com and save 35% off polarized sunglasses with the code PHLY. Over 300,000 people have rated Shady Rays 5 stars, so use the code PHLY today at shadyrays.com.
All right, my man, Shady Rays. We turned the clocks forward.
I felt my mom told me this yesterday. It feels early, quick. I like it. I'm a big daylight savings guy.
The only problem is, the only thing I hate about it is you lose the hour. I hate losing the hour. Yeah. I like to gain the game. It feels great. Losing the hour sucks.
Yeah. Did that just happen?
No.
Oh, this weekend. Okay. You got me confused there for a second. I was like, wait, did that just happen?
He's got his Birkenstocks on. He's just on the herb probably.
Take a picture of his feet. All right. You like those, Joey?
Well, yeah, they look comfortable, but does it look good?
He looks like Uncle Junior. Like
he does look like Uncle Junior.
Since you're hitting me with the collective,
he looks like
Uncle Junior. His feet look like Uncle Junior.
They're so comfy.
Yeah, right. You won't wear them out, Joey.
Right, their household.
No, you're not wearing them out. Look at that. With the white socks.
Oh, dude, you're gonna get bullied. You can't wear them to the skate park. You're gonna get bullied to the skate park.
Well, you can't skate in these. Like, there's no way you can do that.
No, but you can't wear the whites. I mean, I don't know. You can't.
Well, Bro wears them. Bro wears them barefoot, which is a better look than the white
barefoot works.
He's a no sock guy, though. I have to have socks.
Dude, he never wears socks. It's freezing cold in the winter. He doesn't wear socks. How bad must his feet stink? The shoes stink.
Poor Addy at night when he takes the dogs off.
Man. You know that they just reek.
Yeah, I hate the feeling. I'm a sock guy too. Yeah, clammy feet. Yeah,
socks in bed
good,
too.
Thick socks,
absorbent.
Right? Like I love a sock.
Yeah,
sock is a great invention.
Well, when I grew up, I doubled up.
Yeah, so
I would do the double ups, especially when I played hoops. You double up.
I was a double sock guy too. I'm a big double sock man. And my mother would say, "Would you take your socks out?" Right.
Because if you're doing laundry, that's got to be the biggest pain in the butt, having to separate those stinky socks.
Yeah. My mother used to freak out. My wife does it to the kids today. She's like, my God, these socks.
You got a picture? Throw it up. Don't hesitate on this. You got a picture?
I didn't get your picture.
Yeah, it's on. It should be on
did you put it on Slack?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. I thought I was waiting for a text message. Let me grab it.
Put your feet up, and then we're gonna go to.
Yeah, I'll put it up. Here we go.
Now here is his. These shoes, he looks like an old man.
He does. He's got a real old man vibe.
Yeah. Now, come on, chat.
They're comfortable, all right? Sometimes comfort is not pretty, all right? Sometimes it's just comfort.
But you're out of the house, bro.
Yeah, you should be wearing a robe atop that.
Yes.
Yes. All right. I'm not Versace now.
Yeah, like a ratty old robe.
Like a powder blue terry cloth robe, right?
Yeah.
Classic.
Oh, man. All right.
All right. We got our boy? All right, let's go to the morning skate. as we are all flyered up on this show. Cannot wait. And we are blessed to have one of the great hockey writers, the great hockey voices who cover this sport from the All PHLY Flyers show, Charlie O'Connor. Good morning, Charlie. So you're on mute.
Here we go. We got
Here
you.
we go.
Yeah.
Oh, can I see the
Hey, how's
background
it
for a
going?
second? I love the backgrounds. Yeah. Look at that. VG. Look at the rink. Look at the rink, VG.
The glisten off the ice is nice.
You know what? I got to talk to the Flyers. I want to do. I want to do our
Please.
show there.
Please.
All right. Maybe during the homestand. Hey, Charles. This is such an enjoyable time for this team. They've come back from the break. Michkov's been ridiculous, right? Other than the one mistake he made in overtime, he's been amazing. He's got a lot of jump, and the goal, the shootout was ridiculous. He's shooting the puck more. Was that upon direction?
I don't think that they're asking him to shoot more. I just think they're happy that he has energy again, because that was, to me, the most obvious thing about the lead into the break was that this was a guy who both physically and mentally just looked tired. And it makes sense. He's never played this number of games before, even when he was playing in Russia. The KHL seasons are significantly shorter than NHL seasons. And then just the fact that it's the best league in the world. I don't think it was a case that he didn't work hard enough in the offseason. I just don't think he worked smart enough. I don't think he knew how to prepare for an NHL season. And the schedule was really busy this year because he had 4 nations. So they were cramming a lot of games into a short period of time. I think he just got wiped out. Give him the 2 weeks off. I believe he went overseas to hang out with some friends to clear his head, and came back, and he looks like the guy from November and December, which is awesome because that guy was a point per game player. And he looks like that guy, but maybe even a little bit better because he's a bit more comfortable in the NHL than he was in November and December. We're seeing a really exciting player, and we're seeing what he's going to be once the conditioning is truly at NHL caliber for a full season. I think that could happen as soon as next year.
Yeah, I'm completely with you. I know you said there was no directive, but it does feel like he's being more aggressive and he's shooting the puck more. I mean, his shots are up over, especially since the break.
Yeah, I think it's probably more just a matter of he has the energy to get himself into shooting positions more often. When I remember quite a few times, there was one play, I think it was with about 2 weeks until the 4 Nations break, where he got the puck with an opportunity to have a breakaway, and he tried to create separation, clearly couldn't, and then had to pass the puck to a trailer. I believe it was Joel Farabee. It was before the trade. And you're just thinking, man, in November, he would have taken that on a breakaway on his own. And I think you're seeing more of those opportunities for him because he just has that half a step of energy that's allowing him to stay ahead of his pursuers and to get to open spaces a little bit more than he could in the 2, 3, 4 weeks before the break.
So obviously the big story this week is the deadline. And what do you see? Obviously Lawton played the joke on everybody. I love the Last Supper. That was fantastic. What are you hearing?
Well, what I'm hearing with Lawton is they're more open to trading him than they have been in a long time. But that doesn't mean that he's definitely going to get traded, because just because they're more open to doing it doesn't mean they've lowered their price. They're still asking for a first-round pick or a package that's the equivalent of a first-round pick. So if they could get a young player, a highly touted prospect who they value like they would value a first-round pick, they'll do it. But at least to this point, I haven't heard anything that they've cut their offer, their asking price down. That, oh, well, now we'll be willing to take a second-round pick. Because if they would be willing to take a second-round pick, they could trade Scott Lawton in 5 minutes. That would be easy. There are tons of teams that would give up a second-round pick, which, given it would be from a contender, it would be a late second-round pick. We'd be talking about somewhere in that 55 to 64 range. Teams would do that in an instant. The Flyers are holding firm that if you want this guy, it's a seller's market. There aren't a lot of players available because a lot of teams still think they're in the mix. If you want this guy, you're going to have to pay up. Whether he stays or goes, it's going to come down to whether a team pays up.
I know there were some scouts, I guess, in Winnipeg, and they've been following them around a little bit. Anybody else you think? I know Rizzuto, is there anybody else that you could see get moved?
I mean, there's obviously talk about Kuzmenko, Andre Kuzmenko, who they got in the Morgan Frost, Joel
Yeah.
Farabee trade. I think the Flyers want to take a long look at him. I do, because I think they looked at this as an opportunity to kind of pre-scout a guy who
Yeah.
they were already considering maybe tossing a 1 or 2 year offer to in free agency this summer. Now they're getting a chance to see how he fits. John Tortorella yesterday said that he thought on Saturday against Winnipeg that was Kuzmenko's best all-around game. So they've liked what they've seen. That said, if a team offers them, a second or third round pick for Kuzmenko, if the Flyers retain salary, yeah, they have to consider it. That's a pretty valuable asset for a guy who you just got as essentially a salary cap dump, a throw-in in a trade just a couple weeks ago. So he's out there. You hear some scattered things that Eric Johnson has had some conversations with Danny Briere on whether he might want to move to a cup contender. That said, and look, it would take a really, really big run by the Flyers to make a playoff push because there are just
Right.
so many teams in the mix. The Flyers are playing very well right now.
They
So
are.
if you're an Eric Johnson, maybe you start thinking, yeah, maybe this team could go on a run and keep me in it through the end of the season.
Well, you're right. They're 4 points out. Now, there's a slew of teams, like you said, but they are playing well. I'll tell you, I mean, you got 7 games that are tough. Calgary tonight, Winnipeg, and then you got national TV games, Seattle, New Jersey. You got Ottawa, Tampa, Carolina. So it's tough, but you got 7 games at home. I mean, and you're only 4 out.
Look, again, it would take an incredible run by this team over the final, let's say, 6 weeks of the season. That said, this is the tough part of the remaining schedule, both from a busyness standpoint and from the quality of teams they're facing. And they're playing maybe their best hockey of the season.
And
You
it's all
want
at
to be
home.
playing. Yeah, you want to be playing your best hockey rolling into a busy stretch where you're playing against a lot of good teams. And if they can make it through that mid to late March road trip, that's a tough one. But if they can make it through that, it ends
What's
with a
that
game in
trip
Toronto.
again? Who do they play?
So they play Tampa Bay, they play
Right.
Washington, they play Dallas, they play Chicago. That game would be easy. Chicago's not very good. And then they close it out with Toronto. So that's 4 teams that are very good. That's a tough trip.
Yeah.
But after that trip, the rest of the schedule is pretty manageable. They play a lot of teams that either are on the playoff bubble or not going to make the playoffs. And that part of the schedule is much more stretched out. It's not going to be as demanding in terms of, game day off, back to back. If they can make it through the next 2-3 weeks and win more games than they lose, they do have the potential to go on a run at the end of the year. It's obviously going to be really tough. If I had to bet, I would bet they're not going to make the playoffs. That's where the odds lean towards. But with the way they're playing, if they roll off another 3 or 4 straight wins right here, you have to start thinking about them.
No, listen. I mean, I'll tell you one thing. They're fun. I enjoy them. I look forward to the way they played Saturday. Saturday was a tough game. You had the back-to-back to Pittsburgh. You blew the 3-0 lead against the Penguins, right? And then you got to go all the way to Winnipeg for a one-gamer, basically. That's a tough trip after 2 games against Pittsburgh, and you win the game.
Yeah, Winnipeg they went into the game with the best record in hockey. The Flyers were playing their backup goalie and Ivan Fedotov. The odds were stacked against the Flyers, and they found a way to win. It was a really fun game to watch.
Fedotov, by the way, played ridiculous in that game. He stoned Connor like 3 times.
Yeah,
I mean, their power plays. The Winnipeg power play is sick, right? And I was stunned. Like, he played out of his mind.
Yeah, they had 2 power plays. This is the best power play in hockey, 30% effectiveness. And with 10 minutes left in the third period, they had to kill 2 power plays in a tie game. And they did. And the penalty kill was good, don't get me wrong. But Fedotov had to make a number of big saves. I thought it was Fedotov's best game as an NHL goalie, to be sure.
Yeah. Is he – what do you think I mean, he's so big, and we talk about his size all the time. But is there any way like that he projects – as maybe a part-time guy?
Goalies are so weird that I can't rule anything out.
Yeah.
That said, he is on the older side.
Yeah.
I don't know how much more upside he has. To me, the best case scenario for Fedotov is that he is an average, solid NHL backup goalie.
Yeah.
That's the best case
Yeah.
scenario. And if he gets there and the Flyers do have him under contract for another year, then that's fine. I'm curious to see if they stick with him for next season, though, just because, look, if you look at the numbers this season, the Flyers are probably in a playoff position if they get league average goaltending.
Yeah.
They believe in Sam Ersson, and Ersson's played really well since December, since he's gotten over his injuries. The backup goalies, and Fedotov was great on Saturday, but full season, his numbers aren't great, and Alexei Kolosov's numbers are even worse. The backup goalies have dragged down this team. I'm curious to see if Danny Briere in the summer sticks with Fedotov or he tries to upgrade that spot, figuring, hey, if we get league average goaltending next year, we're a playoff team. Let's upgrade that spot and try to make the playoffs. It'll be interesting to see what he decides with Fedotov.
How's Tortorella been with this group? And, you know, how do you think he, because in fact, VG and I, go ahead, VG, because we argue about him all the time.
I feel like he's been a little better. I expected him to destroy Michkov the other day as a Pittsburgh with the defensive lapse. I expected him to get shredded in a healthy scratch the next game, but he seems to be backing off a little bit and letting the kid be a little himself, I guess. It feels like. I think Torts has been okay lately.
Yeah, look, Torts is Torts. He's going to be demanding. He's going to rub some guys the wrong way. That's just the way that he coaches. He's a tough coach. Is it working this year? I would say general terms, yeah. The Flyers are overall, I think, playing well at 5-on-5. They're playing with structure. They've gotten better as the year's gone on. Is it perfect? No, because there are times that he's clashed with Michkov, but they believe that John Tortorella is going to be good for Michkov over the long term. That even if they butt heads occasionally, you know, he gives them fewer minutes than fans maybe want Michkov to be getting. They think it's hurting his chances of winning the Calder. They just want to see him more. The Flyers believe that by coaching Michkov hard as a rookie, and you know whether John Tortorella is the head coach next season, I guess we'll see. He's got one more year left on his contract, but they believe that by coaching Michkov hard in these early seasons of his career, that he's going to be better 4, 5, 6 years down the road. He's going to be a more complete player. Only time will tell if they're right. But the things that frustrate fans about Tortorella in terms of his treatment of Michkov specifically, they're the things that the Flyers think will be good for Michkov long term. And we'll have to wait and see if they're right.
Charlie, does he, I don't know, from the small interactions I see of him when he's interviewed and what you hear about him, does he seem like a guy who needs this heavy-handed, tough coach? He seems like he's already got that built into him.
Well, yes and no. So the drive is there, and he's hyper competitive to be sure. That said, this is a guy who he likes to cherry pick. He likes to, lean entirely on the offense, and he's always going to be an offensively oriented guy. That's one of his strengths. Well, that's his key strength, I guess. I'm not going to say it's one of his strengths. So he's always going to lean towards scoring, lean towards risk taking. But what the Flyers want to do is they want to make sure that that's not the entirety of his game, and it's not ingrained into him for the rest of his career. They want him to care at least a little bit about defense. And I think that's what a lot of this is. It's trying to give him better habits. They don't want him to try to be a Selke guy on the wing. He's never going to be that. But they want him to care just a little bit more so that over time, when he puts it all together, that he's not just hanging out in the neutral zone and making the team play 5-on-4 in the defensive zone every shift.
That's what we want. That's what we want.
Right? He's so much fun.
Yeah.
Oh my God, Charlie. He's the greatest, man. I love.
How great is a breakaway? I just want him on the breakaway all the time.
I love watching him play. I swear to God. Man, as you think about all these years searching for great skill, I mean, man, you finally, after all these years, we have someone. I've enjoyed this more than anything, man. Watching him play, he's just a baby. That's the thing that's crazy about this thing.
Yeah, he's only 20 years old, started out the season at age 19. He's going to get so much better. Like, that's the thing. He's going to get so much better over the next few years. Guys don't hit their ceilings until, 23, 24, 25, 26. That's when you're in your physical prime and you've developed. He's already so good. He's already going to be, a clear-cut top 6 forward at age 20. Next year, and maybe I'm being a little biased here because I'm watching him on an elite basis, I think that you give him a summer to work out and to be on an NHL strength training program and prepare himself for the season so he doesn't get tired the way I think he did get tired leading into the Four Nations break, I think he is going to have an absolutely monster sophomore season next year. I'm really excited to see what he can do.
And by the way, I know we spent, and by right, we're going to talk more. We're going to talk about Michkov, but that first line, man, like, how about Cates? Like, they've been busy.
Yeah, that Cates line's been great. I mean, really since 2024. It started out being real good, dating back to December of last calendar year. Him, Bobby Brink, Tyson Forrester, they just click. And it's one of those things where I think in 2-3 years, we're probably going to be able to figure out who was the true driver of that line. Like, I'm thinking back to Tampa Bay had that, where, and we're talking like the mid 2010s. They had a line, I believe they called them the triplets. It was Tyler Johnson, Andre Palat, and Nikita Kucherov. Now, in retrospect, you look back and you say, yeah, that was probably mostly just that Kucherov was incredible. And those guys were good. Don't get me wrong, good players. But in retrospect, that was Kucherov driving that line. Maybe we'll find out in 3-4 years that, it was actually Tyson Forrester, and he's really the best guy. But right now, it's just working together really well as a three-man whole. And the thing that's been really exciting for John Tortorella for the last, I would say, month or so, he's been using that Cates line as a tough matchup, hard match line. Like they were the line that he threw out there against Crosby for 2 straight games. And Cates and his line mates did a great job. Did the same thing against Scheifele on Saturday. Another really, really good score. He threw them out there against McDavid, and they did a great job in the first game coming out of the break. So he's leaning on that group, not just to shut down, but to outscore the best centers in hockey. And that's really exciting for the short term, to be sure, but also for the long term, because we're talking about guys. I mean, Cates is the elder statesman of that line, and he's, I believe, 25, 26 years old. Like, these are guys that are going to be part of this for a long time, and they're not old. They're young guys that theoretically could get even better.
So, go ahead.
No.
Oh, okay.
I got one.
So, tonight, Calgary, Ersan back, right?
I would assume so, yeah.
Yeah. And then you get to see Frost and Farabee already.
Yep. Yeah, they will. They'll be doing their morning skate at 11 a.m. So I'm probably going to try to run over there and chat with them after we talk to Torts at 10:15. But yeah, neither of them have really been blowing the doors off in Calgary. Frost had his moments. Farabee's mostly been struggling to put it together. He recently got dropped down to the fourth line, but I'm sure they'll both be jacked to come back home and try to show that the Flyers were wrong for giving up on them. So we'll see what happens.
That'd be fun. Big one tonight, man. I'm looking forward to it.
Charlie, I struggle with this with Torts. Their power play just always is mediocre or worse. And I see other teams that don't have a ton of skill position players, like the Blackhawks or the Canadians, are considerably better. Like, why does the Flyers power play always seem to struggle? Is that on Torts to fix?
Well, I mean, it's hard for me to say it's on Torts because he's not the guy who runs the power play. That's assistant coach Rocky Thompson. However, Torts' teams tend to have not great power plays. Now, is that something that's more about who he hires to run the power play, or is it something about his coaching style? I'm not sure. I think it's probably a combination of, aside from Michkov, they don't have a lot of guys who are well suited to thrive on the power play. Like even somebody like Konechny, who I think is a great player, he's best attacking off the rush. There aren't that many rushes on the power play. He has to set up in a cycle game, what I call like the half-court offensive hockey. That's not really his strength. So they don't have the same thing with like an Owen Tippett who likes to attack off the rush. So a lot of their non-Michkov forwards are better playing rush hockey than half-court hockey. But I also think that they're not being coached particularly well. Rocky Thompson has been the assistant coach here for a while, and he's yet to be able to crack that power play. And you're right. Like, I point to last season. Last season, the Flyers had the worst power play in hockey. San Jose, the worst team in hockey, a team that was basically bereft of high-end talent. At least this year, they have guys like Macklin Celebrini. They have young, talented guys. Last year, they had a 20% efficiency power play. Not great. It's not elite by any means, but it was way better than the Flyers' power play. And you would think that the Flyers at least had enough talent to be as good as they were. They weren't. And to me, coaching is a big part of that.
I will. Lastly, I'm loving the league. I think just the game's in a great spot. I love what TNT, they're doing the triple headers on Sunday. You know, when NFL goes away, having something on in Sunday afternoon and Saturday afternoon is good stuff, man. And the league is just a blast. There's so much fun stuff going on.
Yeah, it's been fun. The Four Nations was a massive hit, to be sure, and I think that hopefully will bring a few more casuals into the fray, and we'll see if they stick going to the playoffs. Because look, you and I both know playoff hockey is
the best.
Maybe the most fun thing in sports. It's so much fun to watch,
and it's so wide open. Like there's so many. I mean, God, that West is ridiculous. I mean, you look at it. I mean, it's wide open right now.
Yeah, there isn't that one team that you point to and say they're the stone cold favorite.
Right.
There are 7, 8 teams that you could realistically see winning the Stanley Cup. It's going to make for a fun postseason, to be sure.
Yeah. Hey, Chow, great stuff, buddy. Thank you so much. What time today will you be doing your hit?
Well, we have our pre and post game show because they're playing today.
That's right. We get the game tonight. Oh, fantastic. Cannot wait. Chow, great stuff, buddy. Thank you.
All right. Thanks, guys.
Charlie O'Connor. All PHLY Flyers.
Best Flyers guy in the city.
He really is. He's great, man. Yeah. He's fantastic. And they're fun. I love them.
They've been a lot more fun since the trade too.
They have.
The energy's been way better and different.
It's been good.
Yeah, it's weird.
I've been like all pucked up.
I know you are.
You notice that?
No, I haven't noticed.
No, I mean I'm watching. Tucci and I, go, watching the game, watching Capitals. Yeah, I'm like, yeah. He texted me, it was a Monday night. There was some game on Monday night, TNT game. And I had it on. And he's like, it's definitely replaced my NBA league viewing. I think that's,
Yeah, that's not hard to replace it at this point this season.
All right, joining us time now for the brain. Brain.
Red, the brain finder.
Top of the morning to you, Brain.
Good morning to you. Still waiting for my phone.
You're muted, pal. Now he's frozen.
No, I'm good. I see you now.
Now you're muted.
You got me?
No.
You don't hear me?
How to read lips. I don't have you.
Can you hear me now?
Can you hear me now?
I hear you.
No, we cannot hear you. No, the brain.
It looks
there he is.
Okay, we're good?
Yeah.
All right, buddy. I don't need. Probably my fault, I have no doubt.
That's why you're the best, man. You're a mute. You're the greatest. All right, big picture. Let's we talked a little bit about conference tournaments. Are there any teams that you're circling? Because you made a good point yesterday, and I want to follow up with it about teams. Listen, your better teams almost don't want to go deep and play 4 games, right? But there are teams that are those middle teams that if you get hot, they're dangerous. And you go back, man, in the UConn days, right? Like where they get hot and win the going a run. I remember one of my favorite all-time college teams was NC State, the Wolfpack. That Jim Valvano. They weren't even in the playoffs. They went on a run in the ACC tournament and never stopped losing. And it was, I still remember the team: Lorenzo Charles, Derek Wittenberg, Sidney Lowe, Cozell McQueen, Terry Gannon.
Terry Gannon, good memory, man. God, that's impressive. You got them all. Yeah, that was a great team. That was a great game. That was a great. First of all, some of those wins they had were just absolutely unbelievable in what they did to get to the point that they did. They had like a theme. I was watching on like one of those ESPN things. They were down like 7 points with like 20 seconds left in the ACC tournament.
Yes.
And they got like some crazy comeback win. But yeah, Anthony, no, you're 100% right. Like we don't know the motivation on some of these teams. Look, I'll give you a couple teams again that I just think are maybe a little bit under the radar, Anthony. One team to me, and it's interesting, when you think about teams that have been great successes, great histories, you think of Louisville basketball. But you look at what they've done recently when they had Kenny Payne, man,
wow,
that was
Kenny Payne
for that.
What?
But yeah, no, that Kenny Payne, exactly. He was causing pain to them. But it's funny, this year, this team to me has really, like, been a revelation what they've done. They've been incredibly consistent. They've been day in, day out. I mean, they really have had very, very few bad performances. This is a team where, again, I'm not going to say they're a national title contender. That would be disingenuous. But a team that I think could absolutely win a couple games in the tournament, to me, is this Louisville team. And again, they've been very good, very consistent. And this is a team to me that actually will want to win in these games. It does mean something considering the year they came off of last year. I don't think they're getting enough credit for what they've done. I mean, because what was their record last year? Where they won like 7-6 games? I mean, it was horrible.
Horrible.
And this year they've really, really been consistent. They've played well all throughout. It's a team I like. I think that again, I like teams like in the NBA. I love the Detroit Pistons, not because I think they're great, but every single game they play hard and they play. I know I'm getting an A+ effort.
Yes.
So if I'm backing them, I know that it's not going to be like that. Okay, we're going to rest 3 guys. We don't care if we win. No, we do care. We're going to play well. We're going to play hard. I kind of feel that way about Louisville, where every game I feel like I'm getting a professional effort, so to speak.
Yeah, that's a great point. No, you're right about that Pistons team. They're fun. Cade Cunningham is. Man, he's a star.
That most improved award is wrapped up, but it's interesting. You look at that team, and that's the kind of situation where I look at a team like that, and I'm like, all right. You look at them, you say, all right, they have Cade, who's obviously turning into again a superstar, but you're like, all right, Duran's a decent big. They had Tobias Harris, Tim Hardaway Jr.,
Thompson,
one of the All-Star Thompson. You wouldn't think this would be like a close to a 50-win team.
Yeah,
you really wouldn't, based on the talent, but they play hard, and it lets you know. And it's interesting. They got, I think, Bickerstaff is their coach, who left Cleveland, goes to Detroit, turns them around. Then Atkinson goes to Cleveland and raises their bar. So it's an interesting thing how those two teams both kind of flip coaches, and both new coaches have really risen to where they were before.
So let's look at tonight's Sixers in Minnesota. Yep. All right. Now it looks like there's no. I would be shocked if Maxey plays after last night, right? So we'll see about George. They're what, 13.5-point dogs?
14. Yeah. It's look. I mean, Anthony, this is
the tax too high now?
I mean, I'm not laying 14. I thought the line would come in right around here. This is now a Sixer team where finally it took 4 months for it to completely caught up, where they are being treated as the team that they are,
right?
Which is absolute the dreck of society. Unfortunately, this is not a game for me. It was a pass for me. I will give you 3 props in the association tonight. I do like guys. We had a good night last night on the show. Hopefully we can do the same thing tonight. Tyrese Halliburton under 9.5 assists. Tyrese Halliburton's 21-9 to the under his last 30. He's 37-21 year to date, and he's going against a Rocket team which has given up the least assists in the NBA this year. So tough matchup. A guy who's been going under about 70% of the time. I'm going to take my chances. Tyrese Halliburton under 9.5 assists. De'Aaron Fox, since he got traded to the Spurs, even without Wembanyama, which is interesting, he's only averaging 19.5 points. Interestingly enough, guys, the Nets, you wouldn't think this, last month of the year have allowed the fewest points in the NBA. They've been playing a much slower style, much slower pace. I like Fox under 23.5. He's been going under that virtually every game. And again, believe it or not, the Nets actually are playing slow. That's too high. And last, Darius Garland, Cleveland Cavaliers over 6.5 assists. He's 20-10 his last 30. And the Bulls, oh man, Anthony, the Bulls. Massimo would love to go against the Bulls because he'd be putting up 25, because the Bulls are atrocious defensively right now. 28th out of 30 the last 2 months in giving up points. I think Garland gets his 6.5 assists, even in the game that should be a blowout. And a couple games I like. Love the Warriors getting 5.5 against the Knicks. I don't get this line. Park says it at 5.5. Makes no sense to me. I think this line's much closer to a 3.5, maybe 4. Maybe 4. I kind of think the Warriors are going to win outright. And then the Raptors, they just beat, Anthony, the Magic. They just beat them the other day. I think they're better. Hand on the Bible, no BS. I think they're the better team taking 7.5 points. I don't get this Magic thing. It hasn't happened since they lost Suggs. I think Toronto's the better team taking 7.5.
Anything college basketball?
Yeah, college, Anthony, it's funny. A couple games are like Arkansas. Okay, Arkansas is going against, I root for Vanderbilt because my kid goes there. I think Arkansas and Vandy, though, are pretty close. Now, Vandy has the better record, okay? But my power ratings, I have I only have Arkansas about 1.5 less than Vandy on a neutral. They're getting 7.5. Now Vandy's been playing great. Vandy's at home. I get it, and I hate taking road teams in college, but I just think this is too high. I thought this line should have been more like a 5. Maybe I could get the 5.5. 7.5 is too high to me. I think Arkansas will keep this game tight. I think it'll be close. I hope Vanderbilt wins, but I think Arkansas can cover the number.
Well,
and then look,
real quick, to your point, I mean,
yeah,
now's the time where Cal's teams get better.
Oh yeah, absolutely. And this is where he shines. And again, I trust Cal, and I think again it's not easy to win a game by 8 points when, in my opinion, the teams are pretty close, right?
Yeah.
So if you have a kind of even team, 8 points is a real margin.
Yeah.
I think this game will be tight. Vanderbilt, I probably will win, but I think this game will be like a 3 or 4 point game either way. And then look, Anthony, I know we have a little bit of a, not a big argument, but a little bit of a minor argument. I like Auburn. I know you're more Duke. This Auburn team, to me, I bet them big live against Kentucky. They came up big for me. I think this is the team. I like this team. Now, A&M I do respect, but they've struggled recently. We had Florida against them the other night, Anthony, in your show. They lost by 20. I thought it was gonna be one of those kind of games. Now they're coming back home, all hands on deck kind of game. But my problem is I just think Auburn's a lot better. I just think Auburn's a much better team, even with everything in the world pointing towards A&M. They want this game, means a lot more to them than Auburn. It's really an exhibition game for Auburn. I just think Auburn is the best team in college basketball. And Johnny Broome did nothing in that game against Kentucky, and they still took him to the cleaners. That to me was incredibly impressive.
I'm on the other side of this one. I think A&M gives them a game tonight, maybe even wins. It feels like a stumble for Auburn tonight.
The line is cheap. The line is cheap. I mean, 4.5 to me is a very low line for a team that an A&M that has been struggling and leaking oil against a team that I think is the best team in college basketball. But again, I get it. Road teams in college basketball, when they're low spreads, I hate taking it, but I just.
And I'm a Buzz Williams fan. I think he's a good coach.
Yeah,
he is.
Like Buzz?
Yeah, I think he's a good coach.
He's a good coach. He's a good coach. He's a good coach.
I'm not a fan
listen,
of Buzz.
I like A&M. A&M's a good team.
Buzz.
Yeah.
A&M's a good team. They're a solid team. I just don't think they have enough to stay with Auburn, but we'll see. But again, out of the two games I just gave, I definitely like the Arkansas game better, and that I actually think that game's much closer to a 50-50 game. I do agree that road teams in these games, again, are an all-in-deck game for A&M. I know it'll be tough, but I do think Auburn will find a way.
Do you do hockey? Do you handicap hockey?
You know, it's funny. I used to do. I still do the hockey. Anthony, I'll tell you something. I used to do the hockey playoffs. The hockey playoffs used to be the thing I made the most money on, because I realized way back when, but it changed. Let me make this clear. It changed. The bookmakers wised up. It used to be
you take dogs.
These playoff games, Anthony. They would make. Well, yeah, the dogs would be. It would be like one. Let's suppose there was 2 even teams playing. 2 even teams. I suppose there's, they'd make a -170 home team, -150 road team. I believe there was a point when I had data, it was over 7 years, not over 1 year, 7 years. The road team had a better record than the home team. And I'm taking $1.50, and the teams that are winning more than they're losing. Worst case, $1.40. Oh my God, me and my buddy, we used to wait for the hockey playoffs. But now, those games that were 170, 150 are now 130, 110.
Right.
It eliminated the edge. Because now you're taking plus 110.
Yeah.
It's much more dicey as opposed to taking 150. You couldn't lose.
Right.
You couldn't lose. But now they realize the home ice overrated. And but look, I do enjoy the hockey playoffs in the sense that I think it's the most exciting thing to watch. And I also think
it was just funny. We were just getting on this hockey kick, and Flyers are fun, so that adds to it.
Yeah.
But I've been watching. We've been enjoying the league, and just watching a lot of games. So I was just curious if you would like handicapped it at all. I was just curious about
that. I mean, not so much the regular season. I mean, the basketball takes me hours and hours and hours to do. Like I was up at like 5 a.m. this morning doing stuff, doing my work. So like, it's just that takes up so much of my time. Only so much time in the day for me to like really advocate for that. That's why I say like there's a lot of specialists out there only do one thing. I try to do as much as I can, but I don't want to overextend myself, because if you do that, I feel like you maybe lose your edge in some things you actually are good at.
Right. So you'll do, and then you do baseball.
I do the baseball. I do the football. The one sport I don't really do soccer, and I really don't do hockey. I'll do hockey playoffs if I think that there's a line where they juice up a home team too much. I'll just bet the underdog on the road, because again, home ice advantage is a myth. You know, it should in theory be right there is the biggest thing with the last, you get the matchup with the last shift. Theoretically, you would think it would actually be the biggest, but it just hasn't turned out that way. And it's not for me to figure out the why, just the what is.
All right, real quick on baseball. Did you go with your awards yet? You put your awards winners in yet?
You know, Anthony, I didn't see any value in terms of really anything I wanted to do with that. I mean, there's so much competition, Anthony. There's so much competition. I will tell you a bet I did make, and these are like fun bets, kind of
like I always like when you tell me about these. At the end of toward the end of his season, you'd be like, I got so and so to win the Cy Young, or I got so and so.
No. Well,
to hit
sometimes
30 home runs.
What I'll like to do is that I'll bet during the season. If I see a guy in the sports book is slow to adjust, I'll do that quite a bit. But I do, like, for example, last year I had a lot of money on Zach Wheeler. Came close, but just didn't get there. But no, I like George Kirby. I bet 60-1 to lead the major leagues in wins. George Kirby, I wanted to bet for Cy Young.
You love Seattle.
He was 40-1. I missed it.
Now
he's down to 21.
He loves the Mariners. Gilbert.
I do love the Mariners are a weakness of mine. They're my kryptonite. But I think George Kirby's a guy that, not a dominant K guy, but I think he's one of those guys that has Maddox-like control. I will make a prediction that George Kirby does win a Cy Young before his career is over. And I think he has a chance, 60-1 to lead league in wins. I took a shot on that. That was the one thing I took. I like Kirby. I love the Mariners pitching staff.
Yeah, I know you do. You love the Mariners, man. Oh,
I do.
Yeah.
Dude, Brain, they got good gear. Get yourself a good Mariners hat.
You know, I should. Yeah, I went to a few games in
pretty good.
Seattle myself.
Yeah.
You know? Wait, what hat are you wearing, VJ?
Philadelphia Athletics.
Wow. All right.
A's. He's got an A's piece.
Man, you talk about I tip my cap to that, man. That's good.
Most championships in Philadelphia history.
That's you should call me and say to the trash man, the hat man, because he has a good collection. I need to up my game. I know that.
Yeah, well,
text me your address. I'll send you a Mariners hat.
We always talk about that. Right. Eagles are releasing James Bradbury.
I saw that. Well, I'm also, obviously Slay. Look, I'm going to say this, and I know you got Zach coming up, and I want your guys' quick take, because I'm just curious. Like, no, look, I know they have an incredible organization. They have so many superstars. They're going to be great just because they have so many good players. But to me, it's like when you lose a bunch of good players, they're losing some good players. I don't think people are like, all right, they lose Bradbury, they lose Slay, they're going to lose Williams, they're going to lose Sweat. Like, to me, it's just like, all right, you're going to lose those guys and just say, all right, no big deal. I mean, these were good players. Maybe not Bradbury quite as much, but these were certainly three quality players they're going to lose on the defensive side of the ball.
Slay had a good year. I mean, and you get them, and what you're losing is maybe not what
they lost the linebacker
next year, but you lost what they gave you this previous year, if that makes
correct.
sense.
And Dean, I don't know if Dean's going to play next year. So I look at it like that. It's like those are potentially four legitimate out of your top 11 guys. It's like, okay. I mean, again, that's the way of the NFL. It's no one's fault. But I do think it is going to be a little maybe harder for them, just because that hurts your depth, right? They were pretty fortunate with injuries this year. Now, if you have a little bit of those injuries, it's a little bit harder, I think, when you're losing 4 of your top 10 defensive players.
Now, the good thing is that your defense is so young that it's an ascending defense, right? So
it is.
Not only,
no question.
Now all of a sudden you get Cooper and Quinyon going into their second year after this amazing rookie year. Carter just gets better and better and better, right? Nolan Smith, we saw him take a huge leap.
Huge leap. Well, yeah. Well, listen. When Howie hits grand slams on the drafts, again, that raises everyone's IQ. Vic Fangio, everyone. When you have good players, but all I'm saying is the only negative is when you will lose good players, it's not necessarily a lab to replace them and replace the depth. Again, Eagles are, in my opinion, the best organization, arguably in sports. In my opinion, certainly in the NFL. Howie always figures it out. I'm just saying, when the fans see this, like, no big deal. I'm like, all right, well, these are some good players. I wouldn't forget that these guys contributed a lot to their success. That's all I'm saying.
You know what's wild too is, you talk about losing guys, and you look at this all season now. There's so many teams without quarterbacks. Like, it's bizarre. Like, this whole season, you look at the Giants. Like, the Giants have Tommy DeVito on their roster. Like obviously they're gonna add somebody, but like there's not a lot of guys out there. Now it looks like Minnesota's not going to franchise Darnold. What's that?
Is this they're not going to franchise you? I thought they're not going to.
Right, that's what I just said. They're not going to franchise.
Darnold's out there, and then of course there's the draft where depending what you think of Sanders and Ward, maybe Dart of Mississippi. I mean, but that's what it comes down to. And look, but here's the thing in the NFL, Anthony, and you know it, if the quarterback, if you miss on that pick like they did with Daniel Jones and the Bears did with Trubisky, it's a 6-year setback because you never want to give up. That's the problem. You can never admit you're wrong. They always choose to be consistent over choosing to be right because you drafted the guy. Oh, you can't be wrong. That's why when Howie cuts bait on some guys that he misses on or whatnot, I give people credit for that. Or when the Sixers get rid of a Fultz and they say, all right, we made a mistake. It happens. That's a much better thing than holding on to a lost cause. You know
what's fascinating? Mike Garafolo told us yesterday that Andy believes Wentz is rehabable as a number one, as a starting quarterback. Jesus. Yeah. He said that to us.
That would be Tyson Douglas to me. That would be Tyson versus Douglas. I'd say this, so you know what, though, before I let you go. You know what? In fairness to him, we have to go back a long time ago. I'm dating myself here, but I don't care. Go back to when Randall Cunningham wasn't he written off, like beyond written off, and then he went to the Vikings for MVP?
Yeah, and he went to Minnesota, and he had Randy Moss, and he went 15-1.
Yeah, Sam Darnold, Rich Gannon. There've been like maybe 3 guys in the history of the league. You could say maybe. I would never bet on Carson Wentz. He is like the opposite juju of like a Derek Jeter. To me, he's like the guy I would not want on my team.
Oh yeah. No, listen. I'm with you. He's a He definitely he's an ultimate mush.
Yeah, he's the mush. Yeah, he's as soon as he gets there, I just wouldn't. I trust that guy as far as I could throw him, that old saying.
Yeah, I'm with you. Brain, great stuff, buddy. We
appreciate you guys as always.
Our man Brain, who is the ambassador to the Bet Park Sportsbook online casino app. Come up, like we said, we'll talk some football with our man Z Berm and some of the moves. He'll give us some insight into Darius Slay, Bradbury, what's on tap, free agency, TikTok, it's coming. League year, the new year starting. It's a new year. It's a new fiscal year.
I know, but how he's telling us, not much happening.
Yep. Well, we'll talk to Zach.
Until that big trade comes.
All about it. But first, let's talk about some of our friends. Yes, like the Bet Park Sportsbook and online casino app. The Bet Parks app. We'll tell you, the brain gives you all this stuff, right? All these. Here he says, under 9 assists, Halliburton, under 23 points for De'Aaron Fox, and over Darius Garland assists.
The amazing thing about him is he's like, oh, I had it at 3.5. They got it at 4.5. Like, that's a big deal in his world. The 1 point, I'd be like,
well, I start thinking about it. Who did he brought up somebody, and I'm thinking, how many people? Oh, Kirby. He brought up Kirby to win the Cy Young, right? And I'm thinking, how many people in our audience, like ask the chat, know who George Kirby is? Like, you got to be a baseball nerd.
Right.
Yeah, I'm a nerd, so I know who he is. I don't have any life, right? So I get it. But it's funny. Like, how many people go, you're giving me Kirby? Like,
what team's he on?
Listen, you just bet against the Sixers, right? Tonight.
Cash last night with the Portland money line.
Yeah,
played plus 120.
There you go.
Grambling State hurt me, but they choked.
There you go. Well, tonight, 14's a lot.
Yeah.
Ant-Man. Pound the Ant-Man tonight. All right? Ant-Man in Minnesota. On the Bet Parks app has it all, right? NBA, the college, basketball, hockey, Fly Boys tonight.
Yeah.
Beachcoff to record a point.
Easy money.
Right?
Yeah.
Yeah, let's roll with it. And then, of course, all of your fun casino games they have, like, live dealer blackjack, craps, roulette, I mean, you name it. All the hot online slots like Peaky Blinders, the Squid Games,
playing
Rocky.
Cash Eruption last night.
Now, what is Cash Eruption?
They got these fireballs that come down with money symbols. If you get, I think 6 fireballs and you collect all the money that the fireballs give you.
Oh, yeah? That's great. Fireballs.
You're like, yes.
Fireballs of cash.
Yeah.
Yes. Find it on the Bet Park Sportsbook app. You can't beat it. New customers, you get up to $1,000 casino bonus back if you're down the first 24 hours. Check it out. BetParks.com has all the details. You got to be 21. You got to be in PA, New Jersey, Michigan, Maryland, Ohio. If you have a gambling problem, please call 1-800-GAMBLER.
And if you're like me and a complete klutz around the house, Ace Hardware Home Service is there to help you out. Take the stress out of home repairs. You know, you got a leaky pipe at Ace Home Services, they're around the block with everything you need to fix it. And most importantly, the right people to do the fixing. Got an air conditioning issue, better get ready. The heat's coming soon, so they got a person for that. Some faucets that won't stop dripping. They got a person for that too, because now they're not just the helpful hardware folks. They're also the helpful home service and repair folks, thankfully. So from plumbing to heating and cooling, they've got trusted pros to keep your house humming all year long. Ace Hardware Home Services, where they're bringing helpful home, the helpful you love from the store now to your front door. Visit Ace Hardware Home Services online at www.acehardwarehomeservices.com to get started on your next home repair project.
All right. Ace is the place.
A helpful hardware, folks, and home service.
Right to your front door. That's right. All right. Now joining us, it's our man. He's just relentless. He's got the high motor all the time.
We love this kid, Zach. Just a motor that never stops. Just great in the locker room. Just a great motor guy.
That's right.
Dresses really well, too. He layers like nobody. This kid layers like nobody, I'm telling you. Just a treat to have around.
PHLY Bird Show. Our man Z-Berm.
Yeah.
Zachariah. Good morning, Zachariah.
Hey, good morning. Thanks for having me on.
Oh, you kidding? Thanks for being available. As always, you're the best. So let's talk about it. The big news is Slay, right? Yeah. So tell us what these moves mean.
Yeah, so the Slay move was expected, and in the sense that you just look at what the number was next year in terms of his salary. The post June 1st cut would allow the Eagles to save, about $4 million plus on in cap space this year. The Eagles have Quinyon Mitchell, they have Cooper DeJean, they have Keely Ringo coming back. We'll see what happens with Isaiah Rodgers. I think they should bring back Isaiah Rodgers, but the whole point of these past 2 years of adding these young corners and then hitting on certainly Quinyon Mitchell and Cooper DeJean, we'll see about Ringo, is to allow them to transition not just from like an age and play perspective, but even a cost perspective, right? Now you have these guys on rookie deals. It allows you to spend money elsewhere. So I don't think Slay was surprised by this. I spoke to Slay quite a bit toward the end of the season about his future. He wants to play one more year. Now, it's not inconceivable that he returns on a lower number.
Right.
But Slay's going to have the opportunity to see what's out there for him. My guess is he'll find a salary that's better than what the Eagles would pay him to come back. But I think this is one that both sides expected.
It's interesting because he talked about Detroit, if not the Birds, that he would like to go to Detroit, which...
Yeah, I know from speaking to him quite a bit about this over the years that Detroit has a sentimental spot in his heart. Started his career there, spent most of his career there, frankly. Yeah. And he had no ill will when he left. And even, the coach who got rid of him, Matt Patricia, is obviously not there anymore either. He has a lot of affinity for the fan base there. Similar to the Eagles, Detroit's invested in young corners during these past 2 years in the draft, so they might be transitioning to that. I think there are teams out there like Pittsburgh, for instance, where, Terrell Austin is a D coordinator there, was with Slay in Detroit. I would watch out for Pittsburgh. I know he keeps his offseason home down in Texas. He spends a lot of time in Houston, so we'll see what opportunities come, but he's made clear he wants to play one more season.
And Bradbury we knew, so we kind of understand that. So what do you think the plan? You mentioned Isaiah Rodgers. I think they should re-sign him. Ringo Rodgers. I don't want to move Cooper from the middle of the field and the slot.
Yeah, I think this is a debate you and I are going to have quite a bit over, this season and these next few years. As I agree. DeJean's been awesome in the slot, but I think one way the Eagles look at this is that first off, they evaluated him as an outside guy. They thought going into the draft that he could play on the outside.
Could play outside.
Yeah.
It's funny. I talked to Spags. So Spags scouted him, right? And this is at the draft. Right after the draft, after they took Cooper, I said, "Did you look at Cooper?" And he went, "Yeah." He goes, "I love that kid." He goes, "I think he could play outside." So right
exactly.
off the bat, he's got the speed to do it. But he's such a presence in the middle of the field, Zach.
Sure, you're correct about that, but I think, and I don't know if it's going to be the case this year, but over the 4 years of his contract, The price for a good outside corner is 15 million plus. You can find a good nickel corner, a good slot corner on day 3 of the draft, and kind of the size profile is different, the play profile is different. I know slot cornerbacks are becoming more valuable, and you've seen that with the contracts. But if you have a stud on the outside, that's hard to find. My guess is this year what you'll see is DeJean on the outside and base, which they don't play very often, and then in nickel, in obviously nickel situations, dime situations, he would play the slot. But I think eventually here you're going to see Mitchell on one side and DeJean on the other.
Yeah, here's why I disagree with you. And I get it, but the game is changing a little bit more. It's more of a power game. You see it where more running backs are taken, tight ends. The middle of the field's more important now, or as important. You have your number one wideout, and again, it depends on the matchup and who you're playing, and the offense. But the offenses are changing. So, I love the fact that if this were 7 years ago, 8 years ago, I would agree with you 100%. I'm with you. But I think the game's changing. I think it's going to change even more.
No, you're right. And the thing about a guy like DeJean too is you hit it on the head. Based on the matchup, you can move him around. If you're facing a guy who's moving inside, you can play DeJean inside. I just think one thing that the Eagles look at, and they should look at it this way, is what's harder to find. And it's harder to find a stud on the outside than a stud on the inside.
Yeah, I guess we're kind of mincing words here because I love that kid so much, right? And I just think you have the ability to play. He's such a valuable asset that I can play him anywhere on the field where I need him. So
you're right, and so we are mincing words there because the Eagles have had guys in the past, like Brandon Boykin, for instance. The Eagles evaluated him entirely as a nickel, and Boykin thought he was a guy who could play on the outside. And the coaching staff at the time just didn't see it that way. There are some guys who they're just better inside than they are on the outside. You see the same thing on offense. Wes Welker's an example of that, right? But I think with Cooper DeJean, he can play all over. He can play safety if you need him to. I think kind of the comp I will look at is like Marlon Humphrey down in Baltimore.
Yeah.
The Ravens use him in the nickel in certain matchups. They use him on the outside in certain matchups. Such a good tackler. I think if Cooper DeJean can have that Marlon Humphrey career. Yeah.
That's a great comp. Because again, I guess what I always want to make sure is I take advantage of his physicality. And
you're right.
The Ravens are able to do that with Humphrey. I think that's the perfect comp that I see Cooper as.
Yeah, and I think that's he's just scratching the surface. I think people don't realize too how young Cooper is. Like Cooper's 2 years younger or a year and a half younger than Quinyon Mitchell. He was one of the younger guys in the draft last year. Left as a 3-year junior. He just turned 22 on Super Bowl Sunday. Right? He is scratching the surface here.
Yeah, I can't believe he's only 22. That's amazing that he's only 22 years old.
Playing like that at this level? It's bonkers.
I mean, it's nuts. It's nuts. So, all right, we've been arguing about the Myles Garrett stuff. I mean, I just don't think it's.
I got something else too. Dino on Twitter tipped me off to Max Crosby tweeting out yesterday a picture of an eagle on his timeline.
Yeah, so I think the Crosby thing. Look, I'm not an emoji decipherer. I'll admit that. That's I got to learn that better. But his nickname's the Condor, and so I think that's what he uses on his social media because of his nickname being the Condor. I believe that's what it is.
An Eagles act. Play along.
I suppose we can interpret it. But look, my read on Myles Garrett is, how he said last week. It's gonna be hard. It's gonna be hard to trade for that type of player. He wasn't talking about Garrett specifically, but just in terms of giving up the pick and the contract. I wouldn't rule it out, and it's a move I would do because I think that he is the best defensive player in the NFL. I think you win with stars, and I think at that position, that's a position that ages gracefully. more so than other spots. Like I wouldn't trade for a 29-year-old wide receiver. I wouldn't trade for a 29-year-old corner, even though the Eagles, basically did that with Slay. But I would trade for an edge rusher like Myles Garrett, especially if the price,
I
if you're looking
mean,
at,
yeah, would you trade for it without a doubt? I mean, I
yeah,
think have him and Jalen Carter on the same line
yeah.
is
You could put Joey Marone, our
right.
intern,
Is borderline
corner.
unfair.
You
Zach
could've shut him down.
Zach could be at the other end. I mean,
I don't know about that one. Yeah,
but I keep hearing that
yeah.
that there's no way that they can fiscally do it.
Yeah, I've been hearing the same type of thing, and I think, one thing that's kind of been said is that the speculation from outside the building is based on the way the Eagles operate, is that they're always going after stars, right? And Howie is a star hunter, and so it's easy from the outside to connect the dots, but internally there is this view that this is more of a maintenance year as opposed to a year where you're adding big time contracts. Like this time next year, when I'm on the show next year, we'll be talking about the Eagles being ready to sign Jalen Carter to maybe become the highest paid defensive player in football, right? So that's something that the Eagles are especially mindful of. I just know that never say never with Howie. And the other thing too is when you have a guy like Garrett, and you see this in the NBA a lot, is the player can start to dictate the market. If he says, I'm only going to sign a contract extension with Team A, Team B, Team C, then it limits the market, and that's when you kind of have a better shot of getting a player like that.
It's all maintenance till Andrew Berry calls. And you would figure Howie's going to be the first person he calls, I would think. They have a really good relationship. When that phone rings, Myles is
they
available.
do.
Two first and Jalix? Get you Myles Garrett? Probably.
I want to give up 2 firsts, honestly. I think a first and a second would a first this year, a second next year, and then I do think they would probably want a player, and Jalix Hunt would be an interesting guy for the Browns to call about. But I think too what Anthony was saying, a lot of it comes down to the contract extension, right? He signed
I think the
a
price is
5-year,
irrelevant.
like he signed a 5-year, $125 million contract extension. 2-3 years ago? You're gonna have to redo that deal. You're looking at probably a deal over $30 million. And again, when you're paying Jalen Carter next offseason, when you have guys who you're going to give new deals to. The other thing too, and I'm not trying to start something, but there's a school of thought, like if you keep giving out big contracts, Saquon Barkley, who was the offensive player of the year, is playing for $13 million a year, and you kind of got to be mindful of that as well. So there's a lot of human dynamics in the building, but until Myles Garrett's on a different team, I'm not going to rule the Eagles out.
Of all the things we can't even, how we can find a way to do anything financially. I mean, that's his world. That's, if anyone could do it, it's him.
Okay, I would agree with that, except when I sometimes I think, how do I say this? Yeah, you're right, but if that guy's like, yeah, like it's just it's not feasible, right? It's at some point even a guy like him can't make it numbers dance.
He is the wizard,
Yeah, it's the point being like
when to buy something and when not to buy something, Zach.
Yeah, I just think there's only they're very creative with how they manage the cap because of the cash they put up front, and it's like I talk to people in the league about this. It's not like a big secret what they do.
Yeah.
It's just they do it more creatively than other teams, and Jeffrey Lurie puts up cash up front that's the big thing. They can put forward years.
I mean, that's it. Like the fact that you have an owner, because not a lot of owners want to do this. The fact that you have an owner that'll put up the cash up front is a big deal. That allows for a lot of maneuverability.
But there's only you can't do that for 53 players, because eventually you're going to be tight against the cap as it is, right? And so I do think the Eagles are in position, if they re-sign Bond and you can have a low cap number year one, to add a big contract as well this year. The question is that keeps coming back is they need to be prepared next year to pay Jalen Carter. They need to be prepared next year to potentially pay Nolan Smith. They're going to be paying Cam Jurgens this offseason. Like that's That's the whole conversation with, Mekhi Becton is if you're paying Cam Jurgens, 15 million plus a year, you can't have all 5 offensive linemen, making 8 digits. So, there's got to be one spot,
Yes, I'm completely with you. What are you looking at now, as far as you think when you're looking going to Howie's office and you see the roster, you see that whiteboard with all the numbers. What are you looking at now for to fill some of those things? Because there are,
I think there are 2 really pressing priorities here for the Eagles. First is linebacker, the Zach Bond situation. Not just is he an outstanding player, but the Eagles are bare at that spot. If Bond were to leave, you don't know who's playing linebacker next year. You don't know what Nakobe Dean's health situation is. Jeremiah Trotter Jr. is good, or has promise, but you don't know what he's going to be. Zach Bond is such a difference maker for that team. I think Zach Bond's going to be the major priority during this next week. Then the other thing too is at tight end, Dallas Goedert has no guaranteed money left on his deal. Now he is under contract, but usually when there's no guaranteed money, you got to figure something out. So do you have a 1-year compromise? Do you give him an extension? Do you trade him? There are a handful of different things they could do there. So I think those are like 2 immediate questions. And then as always, the line of scrimmage. But you're gonna lose Milton Williams. You're gonna lose Josh Sweat. What do you have to replace them? So you have that number 32 pick, of course. And then the other thing too is I think the Eagles they're going to be very mindful of the compensatory pick formula, but I would pay attention to players who are cut elsewhere who don't count against the formula, and maybe you get a guy on a discounted deal because they already got their big contract. A player I'm watching is out of Seattle, Draymond Jones. Jones, who was a big free agent 2 years ago, played for Vic Fangio in Denver. Very similar playing style to Milton Williams. The Seahawks kind of made him an edge linebacker. I think he's better on the line of scrimmage, but that's a guy I would pay attention to if he's cut.
Yeah, that's a great name. I totally see that. That's a great name. What are you looking at? You brought up Goddard, and the tight end's interesting because you think they'll address that in the draft.
They need to address this in the draft. So since Dallas Goedert was taken in 2018, so they took Goddard in 18, they've only taken 1 tight end in the draft since then. That's Grant Calcaterra, right? This is a position that the Eagles have. They've tried the undrafted market. They've tried trades. They've tried kind of bargain bin free agents, and they don't really have that successor. So this is crazy. I was looking this up this weekend because I have a piece on allphly.com, like my 25-step guide to Howie's offseason. The Eagles haven't had to address their starting tight end externally since Chad Lewis. All right. So you go all the way back because they went from Chad Lewis to LJ Smith to Brent Selleck to Zach Ertz to Dallas Goedert. Okay. They've never been in a position where they have to go find their starting tight end. So they could have a compromise. They could have a situation this year where maybe you adjust Goddard's deal. He's under contract this year. It buys you time to go draft a tight end. But if Goddard wants multiple years, if I were Howie, I don't know if I would do that. Goddard's missed 15 games during the past 3 seasons. He's 30 years old already. I don't know if I would commit to 2-3 years, especially when you already have other offensive weapons. So, yeah, you mentioned this is they should look in the draft. This is a good tight end draft.
Well, I was about to say, because I'm looking at my list of my tight ends, and again, that's a deep tight end draft.
Yeah.
There's some good. The kid Arroyo from Miami is interesting. Right?
Yeah, Fran likes him.
I love Warren, but he's going to go before that. But you got guys. There's a lot of the kid from Clemson is decent. You can get late too.
Yeah, a player I like, and maybe it's because I saw him up close. Is Mason Taylor from LSU, son of Jason Taylor.
Jason Taylor's kid.
Yeah. Real. He has a Dallas Goedert like frame, similar playing style.
Good athlete.
I think he's probably a day 2 tight end.
Yeah.
There's some, the Eagles, just for instance, their quarterbacks coach Scott Leffler at Bowling Green, he had 100+ catch tight end Harold Fandon Jr. Now he's
Yes.
not much of a blocker. He's more of
Yeah.
a pass catching tight end.
He's a receiver.
Yeah. But there's some intriguing players in this class. I think also if the Eagles want to look at the trade market, a player I like. I'm curious what you guys think is when he was coming out of Notre Dame, and that's Michael Mayer from the Raiders. He was a high second round pick. The Raiders take Brock Bowers the next year. It's a different regime. If Michael Mayer's available via trade, he's someone who I think they should look at on the free agent market. Another Notre Dame guy, Tommy Tremble from the Carolina Panthers. He's a good athlete who blocks well. I think he's kind of a guy who you could probably get on a 1-year deal as a placeholder type tight end. But this is a spot where the Eagles need to be active this offseason.
Mayer's interesting to me because he really never got a bad quarterback play, bad O-line, just bad team. And then, like you said, when you get Bowers is just a great, great player.
Yeah.
Like, all of a sudden, he never really got a fair shake, I think.
Yeah.
I'm curious to see what he is.
Yeah, and then if you really wanted to kind of go, quote unquote, star hunting, if you will, and I admit it, I have a soft spot for Philly guys, but I'm fascinated to see what happens with Kyle Pitts down in Atlanta.
Yeah.
He's entering year 5. His production has declined since that rookie year. You talk about age. He's 24 years old still. He turns 25. He was a 20-year-old player when he was drafted, top 5 pick. I know he's dealt with some injuries.
I don't know what happened to him, man. Because he looked like a can't miss type of kid, like a can't miss weapon. And look, here's the other issue, right? Is that, you can't blame it all on quarterback play because, you look at this year, you had competent quarterback play.
Yeah, you're right. You're absolutely right. And again, I don't know if Atlanta would move him. I don't know if the Eagles would take on that type of salary. I think more realistically, if you're talking about the trade market, someone like Michael Mayer makes sense. He's on a rookie deal, change of scenery type player. But I think Howie needs to be aggressive at tight end this offseason.
Yeah, and I'm with you. Draft wise, like you just got, there's a lot of talent here in this draft. There's a ton of it. The league, we were talking about this yesterday with Mike Garafolo. We're talking about quarterbacks. He brought up, and I want to run it by you. He brought up that Andy believes that Carson Wentz is salvageable as a starter. Now, I don't know if that's him because I know him, how he loves to try to help guys get gigs and stuff. But, I mean, I was, like, really? Like, there's a lot of desperate teams out there.
Yeah, and you know what, Carson, from all I heard, and you would know better than me. You're more plugged into Kansas City, definitely, than I am. But that he did everything that they wanted behind the scenes this season. Like he went there to learn with Andy, learn with Mahomes. I got to be honest. There are other, quarterbacks I would try to rebuild at this point than Carson Wentz.
Yeah, well, I'm with you. Mike said that yesterday, and I was like, yeah. Because truthfully, I didn't talk to Andy about that. I mean, I'm gonna, but I didn't talk to him about it. I was like, when Mike brought it up, I was like, is he just trying to get him a gig, or is it real, or what? Because there's a lot of it's unbelievable. Like even we talk about this with ad nauseum, but the draft is so rich in certain positions, and it's so thin at quarterback, and there's just no quarterbacks out there. I mean, look at the Giants that just have DeVito on the roster. You look at Pittsburgh going to need a quarterback. You look at the Raiders need a quarterback. There's so many teams out there. The Saints, nobody's got quarterbacks.
Yeah, and to the point about Carson and that type of quarterback, one thing you are hearing elsewhere is there's intrigue about the Sam Darnold, Baker Mayfield type path, where you take a guy who's a former high pick and you say maybe it's a change of scenery, maybe he's a late developer, maybe there were circumstances in place that didn't allow him to succeed in that spot. I mean Mayfield, I thought Mayfield was good in Cleveland, right? They tried to upgrade with Deshaun Watson. He flames out in Carolina. He goes to Tampa Bay. He's really good. Sam Darnold, bounced around multiple. I mean, he was really productive last year in Minnesota. And so when you're looking from a cost perspective, I think there are teams that are going to try to look for those types of quarterbacks. Whether I mean, I know Mike mentioned Carson Wentz, but I think Justin Fields is a player who will fit in that category. I'm curious to see how the league evaluates Daniel Jones or Zach Wilson, Trey Lance. I mean, Trey Lance never really started, but players like that who were former first-round picks, who you say, all right, if he can come to your system with a different O-line, different receivers, different coaching staff, maybe he can play differently than he did before.
Yeah, it's amazing. You have those, and then you have the aging veterans like Rodgers and Russ, and you look and you go, wow, man, it's not an attractive crop.
No, but you hit on the head. I don't think it's a good quarterback draft class. I mean, I know there's a lot of people who like Cam Ward. Our friends out in Denver might not appreciate this, but Shedeur Sanders probably isn't. He's not getting the love in the NFL that he might be getting out in Colorado right now. There are guys like Jackson Dart who
I know he's rising. He's rising.
But
he also played on an offense that was the best money could buy with Lane Kiffin.
Yeah.
He had great receivers. He had a great O-line. I mean, I'm like neutral on Jackson Dart. You and I love our local boy, Kyle.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, I saw him throw a lot of yards at Syracuse this year, and the fact that he did it. He did it without Marvin Harrison Jr. He did it without Jeremiah Smith, right? So it's look, Syracuse had decent skill players, but it's not as if he was playing with Ohio State's receivers. He led the country in passing.
His best player was tight end in Gadsden.
Yeah, Gadsden. I mean,
oh wow, he just disappeared.
It's weird the audio drops out like that.
His audio just dropped. All right. Well, we lost your audio, Zach.
Oh, am I still here? You got me?
You're back.
Okay.
You're back.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
So what's on tap for you today?
Yeah. So in studio 2:00 with Bo and Fran, and we will be doing a free agent bracket where we're doing this over the next 3 days. It's a 64-player bracket, and we'll narrow it down to the most likely player to sign with the Eagles. I would make sure. It's something Bo and I have done the past few years. We got Fran joining us this year. It's a fun game. As I said, I have a piece on allphly.com where it's my 25-step guide to how I would approach the offseason. I put myself in Howie's shoes. It's my favorite piece to do each year from like an analysis perspective. And then Bo has the 100 free agents for Howie Roseman up on allphly.com. So check that out. And then I would tell the audience too, we had Vinny Curry in studio yesterday, and Vinny gave really good perspective about what it's like to be a player during free agency. And we have some clips up on our social accounts, but you can check out the show on our YouTube feed.
It's great stuff, buddy. Excellent stuff. As always, man. Killing it. Always fun, Zach. I just love it.
Appreciate it. Good talking to you guys. You got it. Talk soon.
Z-Berm. All right, let's take care of some business. And I believe we're going to talk some sports travel. As my man Vince from Philly Sports Trips, he's lurking. I want to talk some spring training. And I want to talk a little, we got NFL games next year, the whole thing. So we'll be doing that. But first, let's take care of some of our friends, shall we? Let's talk about Rothman. All right, Rothman Orthopedics. Are your hands cramping? Is your back out of whack? All right, you got joints aching.
He's got a bad neck.
Fraser's got a bad everything. He's got bad shoes. All right.
I'm having a tough week. All right, guys?
Vinny, move over. You're in the shot. I love Vinny. Walks right behind the camera. Moving everything. Yeah, make yourself at home, Vin. All right. At Rothman Orthopedics, practically specialized care has been their passion for over 50 years. Their mission, high quality, compassionate, affordable care rooted in research. Research leading to new treatments and better outcomes. Each Rothman doc Laser focus on their specialty. Hip, knee, spine, you name it. Elbow, shoulder. I think I got shoulder issues still from throwing. I'm hoping the warm weather comes and
that'll help so much.
yeah, that'll help. If not, Rothman's the answer.
Yeah. Rothman
Right?
will help you out.
So you can throw BP to your kid. You can cross over defense. All right. You can drain those jumpers, root for our teams like no other fans in the country. They are Rothman Orthopedics. They specialize in you for more than 50 years. Rothman has participated in thousands of groundbreaking research and clinical trials. The goal of advancing knowledge, developing treatments, and improving outcomes for the benefit of their patients. Rothman Orthopedics specializes in orthopedics, and you visit rothmanortho.com/PHLY to learn more and make an appointment today. All right. We're also brought to you by Parks Casino. Oh, Parks Casino.
Go over some noodles at the Noodle House.
Sounds
Well,
so
we're going to
good.
be there for the March Madness. So
All right.
we'll get the noodles.
Nice.
Yeah,
All right, we
man.
got to get the bamboo noodles.
Noodle
Parks
time.
Casino's got it all. Check it out. Concerts, comedy, MMA, boxing, state-of-the-art Excite Center, thousands of slots, state-of-the-art sportsbook, beautiful poker room, a collection of award-winning restaurants like the Noodle House, the Bamboo Noodle House, the Parks Grill Steakhouse, all kinds of fun stuff, Chickies and Pete's. Parks Casino, this is how you win Pennsylvania's #1 casino. Tickets on sale now for these headlines. You ready? July 26th, the hilarious Joe Gatto from Impractical Jokers.
I mean, they're funny. I love those guys.
You said it.
Yeah, I watch them all the time.
July 3rd, Grammy-winning songwriter, singer Gary Clark Jr.
He got head down to his knees. Got to be the Joker, 'cause you do what you please.
Come together
He did a good cover of the Beatles song.
right now.
Over me,
You stepped
over
on him
me.
right there.
Boom, boom, boom. I threw him. He was ready for the chorus right
Here
away.
come on, flap top. Here
Open
come.
the door.
Move it up slowly.
Yeah.
Open the door. He's just in.
he steps in with them shoes
He
on.
steps in with the old man.
Yeah, my
slam the
singing,
door.
my singing
He
shoes
looks
right
like
now.
Uncle Junior.
Yeah.
Comedian Ron White on March 20th.
I can't be stupid.
The Motown sound of the Isley Brothers, April 11th.
This old heart of mine's been broke 1,000 times. Each time you break away, I feel you've got to stay.
He's like, you're cut from the same cloth, too, you.
Yeah.
You know.
I can tell.
Some people just like to sing.
Comedy duo Chad Daniels, Kelsey Cook from the Pretend Problems podcast. Psychic medium Matt Frazier on April 18th.
Oh, relative.
As Gina Marone going to that Matt Frazier.
I told her, or not, what, that?
Yeah.
I told her about it. I don't know if she wants to go.
All right. We'll get your mom. His mom's a big medium girl.
Nice.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The band live from Reading on April 24th.
Oh, now feel it coming back again.
Comedian Gary Owen, April 26th. Larry the Cable Guy, May 16th.
Get it in.
Comedian Mark Norman, July 12th. Don't forget dinner and drinks before the show. ParksCasino.com to buy tickets for all shows. Parks Casino, this is how you win. You got to be 21. If you have a gambling problem, please call 1-800-GAMBLER.
Nice work, boys. I mean, the Carbonaro sold out. Lee Bryce sold out.
Yeah.
You know, we're doing
We're
God's
cooking.
work over here. We're
We're
promoting
cooking.
these shows.
Yes, we are. All right. Now joining us, come over here, Vinny.
Hey, move the
Yeah,
chair back.
Yeah, now you move over here. Yeah. There he is from Philly Sports Trips. Our buddy Vinny. What do you say, Vince Rizzuto?
Let's go, guys. This is awesome here. I mean, this is my first time, man. It's incredible.
Oh, it's your first
Oh,
time
that's
in here?
right.
It's incredible.
Because we always have you from
Yeah.
your house.
Yeah.
Oh, virtually.
beautiful.
Oh.
Yeah, that's good to see you,
Congratulations,
buddy.
guys. This is epic.
So, lots of good stuff happening. All right.
Oh, yeah.
This is a fun time of the year. First of all, Phillies spring training. When's the spring training trip?
We leave a week from today.
Oh,
man.
Getting out of this weather.
So
very
jealous.
soon. Very soon.
And you'll be going there like 3 weeks, right?
Yeah, we're down there like 2 weeks. We got 2 different groups, about 300 fans, 3 boat parties. multiple games. It's going to be awesome.
You'll see Charlie.
Charlie.
I talked to him last night.
Charlie
Larry
be there.
Boa.
Larry Boa.
I talked to him the other day.
And Jason Worth this year.
Yeah, I love having Jason
Oh,
Worth,
man.
man.
Yeah, it's going to be great. The fans are excited. This is the 6th year we've done this. So it's just growing every year. And we don't have to worry about pandemic like 2020 or the strike, the lockout or red tide or anything like that. So it's just going to be
Well, I'll tell you, you
an
guys
awesome trip.
do such a great job with that trip. I've been on that trip.
Yeah.
It's so much fun, man. It's a blast. Right from you have first of all, the hotels are perfect. You got the beach, right? And then you do all these things. You give this whole kind of, you feel so close to it. Like if you're a Phillies fan, you got to do this trip. I mean,
It's really unique.
Yeah.
At the end of the day, if the Phillies win 10-0 or they lose, 14-1, it doesn't matter. We're there to celebrate the Philly. It's like Philly down south, and we're on the beach. We're just enjoying ourselves. Meeting the legends is a really cool, unique thing as well. So we were talking to John Brazier yesterday, and he might throw in some surprises from the Phillies. To some of our events. So it's just growing and growing.
Yeah, it's so much fun. And then, the happy hours.
Yeah.
What's the boat rides? I love the boat rides.
Yeah, so the boat ride is like a dinner cruise. It's unbelievable. The food on there, you wouldn't think that it would be that great on a boat. One of the best steaks I've had in a long time is on there. So the dinner cruise is kind of low key with music and things like that. But this year we're doing a buffet style. People can walk around, all that fun stuff.
Wow, that's going to be epic. I mean, absolutely epic. And then you could talk to this. See, one of the reasons why I love about spring training is that there's a relaxed atmosphere around the club. So you get to meet certain people. And then when you're in Clearwater, it's like Philadelphia is taking over, Florida. And it's a beautiful town. And just, on the restaurants and the bars, like the beach bars, it's got that great beach vibe to it.
Spring training doesn't start for me until I get a Coco's Crush Bar Orange Crush.
Yeah, you love
And
that.
They're incredible. They're in the stadium down there.
Yeah.
And Glenn, the owner, is a big partner of ours. So
Yeah.
we do like 4 or 5 events there, and you were there.
It's a great.
It's
almost
like
great,
summer.
Yeah,
You feel
yeah,
like you're, like you're in Brigantine Beach.
Yeah. No rules. It's like, let's go get a cocktail. And those orange crushes.
Yep.
Yeah, they're fantastic. All right. So what other trips you got on the horizon?
So it seems like yesterday was January 1st, and then the Super Bowl, obviously, and the playoff run was amazing. And it took up all of our energy. But now it's, spring training. We get back. We're doing something for opening day. We're going to be down in D.C. for a bus trip.
Yeah, that's fantastic.
So just to get down there and see the first real game that matters and crush the Nationals would be awesome. And then for the Phillies this summer, we're going to San Diego and San Francisco. Which is,
that's a great trip.
6 nights.
San Diego, unbelievable.
I love San Francisco. That's a good trip.
Well, man.
Do they hit both of them on the same trip?
Yep.
That's a singular trip.
Yeah, it's 6 nights, 3 nights in each
That's a
city.
great trip.
Yeah. It's the first time that we've done something like
I
that.
love that trip. That's a fabulous trip.
Yeah.
First of all, it's funny because, in fact, my man Tooch just went to San Diego not long ago, and he was like, "Dude, that town is the
Diego's
best.
beautiful.
It's the best."
That
And then you
ballpark's
get
really fun too.
And you know what's great? What's the date of the trip?
I think it's the 7th of July to like the 13th or so. It's right after 4th of July.
You know what's actually really cool too is that you get great weather.
Oh yeah.
Because the weather in San Diego, it's not like here. It's oppressively hot.
Yeah.
During that period, and the weather in San Diego is not beautiful. Always
80 to 85.
every day. And in San Francisco is a little cool
Yep.
because the summers. I'll never forget the first time being in San Francisco in July, August. It was cold. It was like 55
It's weird. The
degrees.
days are nice, and then it's cold, chilly at night.
Yeah, I can't remember being at the ballpark, the old Candlestick Park,
Yeah.
and covering games and going, "Damn, man, it's cold here." But
I love it. Like hoodie weather, good hoodie weather. at night.
Yeah. It's magnificent.
What's
that's
so
a great
interesting
trip.
too is like we're talking about Florida, now we're talking about California. California has an incredible amount of Philly fans as well. There's Philly bars.
Yeah.
I mean, me and my brother were just walking in San Diego, and we bumped into one of the biggest Eagles bars, Philly bars out there. And then you go to the stadiums, and there's thousands of fans wearing Phillies gear.
Yeah, it's cool. And you know what happens is when you get, because this is what Philly people do, and you've made a living with it, right?
Yeah.
Like you've built a company on it with that the pride of Philadelphia, right? And this whole idea of Philadelphia, like if the teams are in town, they're flocking to it.
Yep. So I have a story about the Super Bowl real quick.
Yeah.
So we were talking with some other teams, and obviously we're starting to do travel for True Fan travel with other teams, and we brought in a gentleman from the Falcons into our Eagles hotel, and he came in and just on cue, they're singing, they're doing chants, and he goes, "I want this for Atlanta."
Yeah.
And I said, "I don't know if you're going to get it."
Yeah.
Philly fans are just as special, and their dedication to these teams and how they live it. And to see these people go to the Super Bowl, I mean, it's a commitment,
Yes.
It was a financial commitment, and people went, and it was one of the best trips, one of the best weekends that I can
Ever,
remember.
right?
Yeah.
Oh, my God.
Yeah.
Well, speaking of birds, so we're going to do something fun this year.
Yeah.
All right? So, VG, you're going to be in on this, too. So, me and our Zach and our Eagles guys, and you're going to be a part of it, too, with me.
Uh-huh.
We're going to do, with Vince, we're going to do a schedule release show. So I love it when the schedule comes out. It's
Dude,
like
it's one of your happiest days
I
of the
know
year.
it's so stupid because like we know the opponents, right?
Yeah.
But there's something about the calendar,
Mhm.
right? Like when it falls,
Yep.
what's going on. So we're going to do a show when the schedule comes out.
Yep.
And then we're going to pick our games. We're going to do a poll, and we're going to pick our trips.
All right.
And we're going to go on a trip.
All right.
We're going
I
to
like
do
trips.
It. I love. Of course, I travel with Vince all the time, and so I love doing it.
They got tailgates that are all inclusive. I hear these things. Yeah.
We're a travel company, but we're a low key tailgate company. I mean, if you're not having fun on game day, then there's an issue there. So we really
you're
focus
eating
on
and
that.
drinking and having a great time. I mean, that's just,
You've heard about the Cuz Cruise. We've talked about that before back in Miami
all
in
kinds of
2019.
stuff,
So
man. It's so
this
much
is year
fun.
6
Yeah,
together, man.
Yeah,
It's
buddy.
amazing. It's amazing.
Dude.
So-
Yeah.
no, but really, so tell everybody just real quick the opponents. There's
Sure.
some great travel.
This year's
It's
nuts.
like football, man.
It's nuts. So we're back to Tampa, I think,
Yeah.
for the third year in a row,
Yeah.
which is insane. Back to LA for the third year in a row. Late ad towards the end of the season, we're playing the Bills,
Which is football, man.
That's a game.
Football.
And we were talking about
Football.
tailgating up there. They know how to do it. So we have some good plans there.
Could you
but
imagine Bills Mafia and Eagles? I talk about it all the time.
Hopefully
Eagles
it's
fans.
September, October.
yeah, exactly. And that's why the schedule's so important.
Yeah.
And the timing. But we also have Green Bay.
Nice.
The last time we
Football.
played in Green Bay was
Football.
Thursday Night Football, 2019, I think, and it was amazing. Kansas City, we get to go beat them again back in their home.
Yes.
I mean,
yes.
that would be 3 in a
Well,
row.
which is fascinating is the 3 stadiums, like the 3 football regions that exude it, right? Green Bay, Kansas City, and Buffalo.
Yep.
Really cool.
We're going back to Minnesota, the site of the first
Yeah.
Super Bowl. So that could be really
And that's a
interesting.
great
if
game.
it's not December.
Yeah.
Yep. So
That's a town you can feel tough walking around with your Eagles gear on. Those Minnesotans are.
Oh yeah,
They-
Minnesota,
they-
Kansas City. This is
they
this
can't
is the
bust
World
those at all.
Champions tour.
Yeah,
You know what I
yeah.
mean?
I
Like,
love that.
This is
Chance Tour.
Let's do it. I'm gonna get you 2 trophies. Just
I
walk
love
around with
it.
the trophies. all
Chance Tour. Let's go, man.
It's gonna be great.
That's going to be a
great.
blast.
Yeah.
That will be so much fun. I'm really looking forward to that. We'll be doing that. Any other things you got on the horizon?
Too many, Ant. We're teaming up with your friend over at Brauhaus Smiths, and we're doing an Oktoberfest trip.
Dude, I just saw this on the site, Munich for
Dude,
Oktoberfest.
dude.
Oh man!
Yeah, we have a
So-
big group already. That's gonna be fun.
That's a blast.
Yeah.
All right. That is a blast. And I again, nobody knows Germany.
Yeah, like Doug.
Are you kidding me?
Doug was lived
So
there. born there.
Doug and I became friends years and years ago because I loved Brauhaus Schmitz. It's the great spot, and I love the beer. It's like the food, the beer is fantastic, and to actually experience it in Germany.
He's
is
the best
amazing.
person in the
Yeah.
world to do this tour. I mean,
Yeah.
he's got access to every brewery, VIP tours. He's got tickets to the tents.
Yeah, it's a
I mean,
blast.
I want to go on that trip. So we'll see what the Eagles.
Yeah,
schedule
we may
looks
have
like
to.
and
We may have to
little
do that,
detour
buddy. Yeah,
for a
we
couple
may have to
days.
do that.
And you're doing the Derby.
And the
Yeah.
Derby. The Derby. This is year 2 for the Derby,
Yeah.
and that's right around the schedule release. So it's a busy time of year, but man, that's a fun one. And we stay in Nashville as opposed to going, in Kentucky.
Nashville's
So
fun.
It's the best of both worlds
Yeah,
there.
that's big time. All right, listen, and there'll be more surprises as the calendar unfolds.
Yeah.
I got one for you too.
Okay.
Yeah, oh, it's a good one.
Dude, also next month, you're going Flyers Montreal.
Oh, the
Montreal's a
Montreal
great
trip.
town.
Oh, dude, by the way,
Brian
great
Brown.
town.
By the way,
Yeah.
that people got first of all, Flyers are awesome, right?
Yeah.
Like they're so much fun. We talk about them all the time. But Montreal is one of my favorite cities.
My first
It's
time.
a great city.
Yeah.
I love. In fact, I got a hookup in Montreal
Okay.
to one of the greatest sandwich places you'll ever. It's family.
Okay.
All right, where do you taste this place?
All right, we'll take the whole group.
Yeah, it's unbelievable. Great stuff. Listen, Vin, awesome.
Thanks for
Always.
having me, guys.
Yeah.
They can reach you.
PhillySportsTrips.com.
Yeah.
Yeah. Vince at PhillySportsTrips.com. Send me an email. We'll be happy to get you on a trip.
Yeah, some
It's gonna
great
be
stuff.
fun. And if you're in spring training, send us a message. We'd love to invite you to an event and check out, what we do.
Yeah, it's fun stuff. Fun stuff.
Thanks, guys.
Nice.
All right. We got time for a couple things. One, we got to do our Rite Aid back in the day, and you got a couple nugs.
I got one we got to cover. The Flyers, speaking of Flyers, they're doing a giveaway, a hat giveaway. And Charlie actually put this on my radar. I'm a hat guy.
You are a hat guy.
I don't know if I'm rushing down. I'm not rushing down to get this hat.
That's a bad hat.
What is that,
Even
dude?
I wouldn't wear that. That's a bad hat.
I don't like that hat.
What's to like about it? It's just like, what is it? Times New Roman says Flyers across the front of it?
Horrible. Horrible.
I like how he went font.
Oh, I'm a fontsman.
Yeah, I don't like it.
No, there's nothing to like about this at all.
Why would you do that?
Just put the logo on the hat. Like,
That's
why
it.
do you have to
Yeah,
do
this is like if I'm running
that?
a giveaway where I can't use the
Yeah,
logo.
by the way, the Flyer logo is a great logo.
Great logo.
Yeah.
It's a great logo. The orange with the black logo is just a great logo, man.
Like, this looks like
No,
a
I,
7-year-old
Anyone could have
designed this
made
hat.
this. Yeah.
Yeah.
This is like, I don't know. Let's just do this because I can't think of
Yeah.
anything else.
yeah, I don't know, dude. I don't know.
There was an offensive lineman ran to 40 that was interesting. They're saying it's the loudest 40 ever. And I mean, it's a big deal. Armand Membo, he ran under a 5.
Yeah.
But dude is vocal while he's running. No? Yep.
No, I found it. Yeah, my screen share was
All
messed
right,
up.
let's see it.
Here we go.
Let go for me. There you go.
10. That's a good start. That is athletic.
Look at him go.
Whoa. Wow.
I like that.
One.
Yeah.
I
You
want a
let out
vocal
a primal
runner.
scream when you do freaky.
I like it. I like it a lot.
We got-
By the way, breaking news: Kyrie Irving, season-ending ACL.
Oh, man.
Yeah,
That stinks.
Those Mavs.
yeah.
Horrible
They're,
season.
They're terrible.
Yeah.
God, that GM. You think the
Rains
Eels
of
bad?
pores, man.
Yeah, oof. That dude. The Lakers all of a sudden are a team.
Dude.
Yeah.
Yes, they are a
They're
team.
good. You get Luka.
Yeah.
All it takes is one sucker in the NBA.
That's it.
A lot of suckers in the NBA.
Yep. Usually us.
Give me our Rite Aid back in the day moment.
We're going back. We're going back. We're going back in the day with Rite Aid. Yeah! We're going back 45 years this week. Cover of Sports Illustrated. Team USA.
Look at that. I remember that.
Dude, it was such one of the top 5 of my childhood sports moments. That whole run they had.
Yeah.
I just saw Mike Eruzione somewhere. Oh, I think it was during the Four Nations.
Four
he
Nations.
Came out.
He
yeah,
came out. He was like
Eruzione
the
came out.
honorary captain. Yeah.
Yeah, those guys. That was a great run. That was a very fun run.
That was an awesome run.
Yeah.
Are you kidding me?
Yeah.
All right. That's going to do for us. Great job, Uncle Junior.
Thank you.
All right, job, Joey. All right, Christopher. If we're going to go that route, he's Christopher. He's Uncle Junior. All right. Everybody have a great day. We love you. All right. Be careful. We'll see you in the morning.
We all silly like the mayor.